when you think about stereotypes that Americans have of Muslim women today in this country, what are they?
Subjugated,
backwards,
voiceless,
meek,
victimized,
always covered, like from head to toe.
we're not intelligent,
Oppressed,
oppressed,
super oppressed,
forced into marriage.
Something that's been on my mind for a long time. Something that we have a big problem with all over the Muslim world. I thought it was like a Desi thing. It's not. It's all over the Muslim world. It's hitting women, dude. And justifying it from Quran. Because you know the ayah says, وَضْرِبُهُنَّ, and hit them.
And at that point, I had already expressed to my husband that, because he would say, he would just pull all these Quranic verses every time he would beat me. And I would be like, I don't believe in all that. And he would just like shove the Quran in my face. And then I would be like, I don't believe in all that. It doesn't make a difference.
I'm making this video for possible survivors of domestic violence or future victims of domestic violence in an attempt to prevent it before it happens. As far as the wife beating, chapter 4, ayah 34. I mean, you can read the whole thing clearly, but the part that's important is here. As to those women on whose part you see ill conduct, admonish them first. Next, refuse to share their beds. And last, beat them. And in parentheses, lightly, and if it is useful. Lightly. Or how about not at all? This is a huge problem. I'm sorry, I'm calling out this book. This is... I can't. I don't even want to look at it.
A Moroccan broadcast channel apologized for airing a segment that taught women how to cover signs of domestic abuse. The demonstration showed a makeup artist using concealer to, quote, camouflage the traces of violence against women. According to Human Rights Watch, Moroccan authorities don't offer a lot of protection for victims of domestic abuse, and a petition called the network out for a message that normalizes violence against women. Domestic violence in Morocco is a big issue. A national survey from 2009 found that almost 2/3 of women ages 18 to 65 had experienced some form of violence.
I do agree with you in a sense where some Asians, especially from that area of Pakistan, they do have a certain culture, and not all of them, but in certain rural areas and villages where they do oppress women. They look at women as second-class citizens. You've got to be in the kitchen.
That's
they
true.
have honor killings and stuff like that, and that might contribute to why he acts the way that he acts, because he might have been grown up in that culture.
وقد تكون ما عادش تنود اللي ما يوصلش للمستوى باش يضرب الحق. وتعرف بنادم ماشي حيوان. شوف والله يشد الدار تاعك. والله ومشيتي ديكلاريتي. واش داروا معاك؟ دابا بغا يدخلوها. شوف مشى ديكلاريت باش ما بغاش يدخلوها. شوف المهم الابتداء في مديونه. الابتداء مديونه كتشوفني. ولا طالب راجل تعدى عليها وبغى حقها هي وبغى والو ودار بنياتها قالت لك باش تدار بنياتها. يلا ولات.
I'm making this video for possible survivors of domestic violence or future victims of domestic violence in an attempt to prevent it before it happens. So as a woman, if you're considering converting to Islam, do not do it. Simple as that. Pick any other religion, I don't care, but not this one.
We have a big problem with all over the Muslim world. I thought it was like a Desi thing. It's not. It's all over the Muslim world. It's hitting women, dude. And justifying it from Quran, because the ayah says وَضْرِبُهُنَّ, and hit them.
خلونا نشوف كيف أمر الإسلام بضرب المرأة. الآن خلونا نتخيل إن أخونا الحبيب نايف، شو أخبارك؟ زين، نتخيل إنه نايف يعني هو رجال طبعا، لكن نتخيل إن هذه هي الزوجة. فشلون الزوج يضرب زوجته؟ طبعا في البداية لابد إنه ينصحها، يعظهن. بعدين يهجرها في المضاجع، ما في فايدة. آخر حاجة نبدأ في الضرب. ما هو الضرب في الإسلام؟ الضرب في الإسلام ضرب خلف شو شلون؟ يعني الرجل لابد انه يحسس زوجته بايش؟ بقوتها. انت ليش ما تسمعين الكلام؟ كم مره انا اقول لك؟ كم مره انا انبهك انك تسمعين الكلام؟ مو بقايل لك انك انت ما تطلعين من البيت الا باذن؟ شوف شلون؟ هذا تعنيف شوي. طبعا هي ترد عليه وانا جاهل، قايل لك تطلعين.
A young woman was told by someone from a Sharia council to forgive her husband and try to reconcile with him, despite him having left her bruised and battered. This, she was told, was the Islamic way.
الست المفروض القلب الحنين، والراجل المفروض الراجل يعني يقدر يشيل بيت. عادي ممكن الراجل يضرب الست بتاعته.
والله احنا لو بصينا لها من ناحية الشرع ما قالش ان هو يضرب.
لا
هو قال في مراحل.
ايوه
الاول قال ايه؟
اهجروهن في المضاجع.
لا اول حاجه قال وعظوهن. يعني انا شفت من مراتي سلوك مش عاجبني او حاجه هي بتعملها مش عاجباني، انا هتكلم معاها واقول لها ده ما ينفعش، ده بيضايقني، ده ما تعمليهوش. جت خلاص ماشي. طب ما جاتش قال لك واهجروهن في المضاجع، انك انت تسيبها عشان تعرف ان الفعل ده بيضايقك وبيزعلك، فبالتالي طب انا هسيبك وهنام في اوضه ثانيه. طيب هي ما جاتش، هنا بقى في الحاله ديت الشرع قال لك ايه؟ واضربوهن. هنا الضرب في غايته مش ضرب للالم، هو ضرب هنا عشان يحسسها بالاهانه،
لفت الانتباه يعني
اهانه.
I'm making this video for possible survivors of domestic violence or future victims of domestic violence in an attempt to prevent it before it happens.
اما الضرب هو لازم تقر حضرتك ان الضرب هو حق ليا بنص القران، لكن انا استخدامه اساءة حق استخدامه.
ما تجبرنيش ان انا اقر ان الضرب اصلا يعني
هتغيري في القران،
مش هغير في القران
مش هنضرب. انت شريكه فيه وانت الايد اللي ضربتي
استحالة المعيشه معاه
عشان ضربتي قلم،
عشان ضربت قلم
تهدي البيت وتهدي الاسره.
حضرتك القلم ده بيسيب اثر نفسي جواه
طبعا.
وتتضربي ليه بالقلم ليه؟ وتتضربي ليه؟ ايه اللي يخليكي تسمحي لزوجك ان هو يتضرب؟
In Islam, you're seen as less than a man, your testimony is half of a man's, your inheritance is half of a man's, and your husband is allowed to beat you as a last resort. And that's never acceptable. No woman deserves that, and wife beating is justified in Islam. Anyone who tries to deny that is denying the literal Quran verses. Muhammad said that the majority of the dwellers of hell will be women, and he said that women are deficient in religion and intellect.
In Afghanistan, they do forced marriages of like girls who are 10 or 12 years old to a 70-year-old man, and that's because of poverty. They do forced marriages of like girls who are 10 or 12 years old to a 70-year-old man, and that's because of poverty. They do forced marriages of like girls who are 10 or 12 years old to a 70-year-old man, and that's because of poverty. You understand what I'm saying?
No, it even happens in India, like. So in India, there's like there are these like sheikhs like from Arab countries like Dubai and stuff, and they would come to like Bombay, and there was these Muslim girls who were like 14, 13, and they would just marry them because they know their families are poor, and like, you know, so they would just give like some dowry or something and just get married to these girls. Like,
I feel sorry for those sisters, wallahi. You know, because me, I'm from North Africa, yeah. We're quite, what they would class as moderate Muslims. And North African women are very strong. Women from Egypt, Morocco,
yeah, that's
Algeria,
the big difference, yeah.
We're very strong, we're very outspoken, you understand what I'm saying to you? And that's what I find with a lot of these men, they're not used to outspoken Muslim women, and they get quite intimidated by that. So automatically they get offended by a woman even speaking and being so outspoken. So they want to silence her, and they try to use these degrading words as whore and bitch so that nobody could listen to her. Because if you're painting a female to be a whore and a prostitute, that's a degrading term, and that kind of dehumanizes the female to the point where, why should I listen to a whore, somebody that openly sleeps around? And this is what they tactically do. You know, they try to dehumanize you and make you to seem like a lower individual so that people won't take you seriously. you understand what I'm saying to you?
He was Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Muhammad, mercy upon mankind, teacher of all mankind, Abul Qasim, ya Habibi, ya.
There are some cultures that do treat women in a certain way, but this is not Islam.
In Islam, you're seen as less than a man, your testimony is half of a man's, your inheritance is half of a man's, and your husband is allowed to beat you as a last resort. And that's never acceptable. No woman deserves that, and wife beating is justified in Islam. Anyone who tries to deny that is denying the literal Quran verses.
Please do not get Islam.
No, this is Islam. Islam is where they get their. Okay, I will tell you this. It's kind of a twofold situation. It's a cultural where the culture permits and instills a deep sense of misogyny within the men, and the sense of ownership of women within. In the male individual, and then the religion of Islam gives them the, if you like, the holy stamp. It gives them the godly authority to do that.
اما الضرب ولازم تقر حضرتك ان الضرب هو حق ليا بنص القرآن، لكن انا استخدامه اساءة حق استخدامه.
ما تجبرنيش ان انا اقر ان الضرب اصلا يعني
هتغيري في القرآن،
مش هغير في القرآن،
مش هضرب.
Because the religion of Islam systematically tells the man that he is above the woman. He is he's the keeper of the woman. He is the protector of the woman, and he is to some extent the owner of the woman.
Zubaydah, do you find it that a lot of Muslim men don't like the fact that you're so outspoken? Do you think that's an issue? That you come, because I've seen some who don't even want to be on hangouts with women or Muslim women because they don't think they have the right to voice their opinion. Do you find that that occurs a lot, or?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I find that a lot. Yeah, man, a lot, bro. Every time I'm live, it's Muslim men that go in there, call me a hoe, call me a slag, call me fat, say that I shouldn't speak about Islam, like, just, you know what I'm saying? They don't try to. I don't mind advice. Yeah. I don't mind a brother saying to me, sis, I don't like the way you're talking, or I can deal with that. But they're not even trying to give me advice. You know what I'm saying to you? It's just pure slander. Yeah, I can hear.
I've heard you on record a couple times say we don't want to reform Islam, but do you think in this aspect, when it comes to their women, they should reform how they treat women, like women's rights, etc., etc.?
And what's interesting and what not many people know is that Islam literally founded the principles of gender equality that we call feminism today.
Islam literally founded the principles of gender equality that we call feminism today.
They'll point at this one verse they'll be like, oh, but this one verse that says, accept all people or whatever, and this means that this harmful practice is not actually Islamic, that it's not rooted in the religion at all. This is such a common trope.
We are equal in these senses. Do you understand what I'm saying?
No, but Zubaydah, you're not, because you yourself know that you don't get the same heaven or the same privileges in heaven as men do. You yourself know that you are submissive even in the afterlife, let alone in this life.
Where is that? So hold on. Please bring
what do women get in heaven versus men? Versus the martyr?
What is heaven? What is heaven? Yeah, heaven is where
Jenna.
You get what you want. Yes, you get what you want. Men's desires and women's desires are different. So a man might desire multiple women. A woman might not desire that, but if she does desire that, then you're in heaven. You can get what you want. So as women, yeah. Hold on, Raj, please. Raj. Yeah. So men.
What does Paul the Gay Muslim get? Because
I don't know, fam.
He desires men, though.
Can you please wait, yeah?
Let
her speak.
Yeah, but Raj, you're trying to tell me something. I don't know, bro. What I'm saying to you is the desires are different. So some men, or most men, desire women, and women might not desire men. They might desire jewelry, they might desire a nice house, they might desire a lot of kids. So when you're in heaven, you get what you want at the end of the day. But when it comes to martyrs, obviously there's some sort of exception where they get 70 virgins or whatever. That's only for martyrs. But I want you to bring me verses or any hadiths or Quranic verses where it states that women do not get the same privileges.
He was Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Muhammad, mercy upon man.
And what's interesting and what not many people know is that Islam literally founded the principles of gender equality that we call feminism today.
He was Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Muhammad, mercy upon mankind, teacher of all mankind.
Look, you know,
The concept of that use. The concept of that use goes to the heart of this, that your man is not taking care of the way the woman behaves. If the woman is too brash, too open, outspoken, too intermixing with other men too much, is because the man has not reined her in, has not controlled her and made her submit.
Yeah, but can
and
I
be
say
all
something? I
submissive.
don't want you to make out that Muslim men are the only men that oppress females, because if you look at studies, the most domestic violence, you get it in countries like Switzerland, 35%, places like Barbados, 30%, New Zealand, 30%, United States, 33%, right? India, 70%, which is a majority Hindu country. You understand what I'm saying to you? In Britain, the most domestic violence that happens towards women is when you have drunk hooligans who get drunk, and if their match or their team loses, they end up beating the shit out of their wives. So if you're going to target oppression against females, let's not make it out like Muslims are the worst.
Zubaydah, it literally prescribes how to beat your wife in the Quran. There is literal instructional videos on YouTube by Saudi men on the type of stick you should use and the different ways that you should beat your wife. Then don't beat them on. There are instructional videos of makeup videos on YouTube on how to cover your facial bruises as a woman, as a Muslim woman.
That's ridiculous. I mean,
Do you want me to show you the videos? I will find those videos for you. Takia Watch did a whole series of videos showing there are makeup tutorials on how to cover your facial bruises on Muslim women. And you're telling me about domestic violence in the West. It is legislated. The reason domestic violence numbers don't show up in the Middle East is because it is legal to beat your wife in the Middle East. It's
okay, so let's talk about the beating now. Let's talk about the beating now. Yeah, in the Quran, yes, it does say technically you can beat your wife, but it doesn't mean you have to punch her up and bruise her up, because there is a way to do it. And you don't just beat her up straight away. You understand? First of all, hold on. Excuse me. If you have a disagreement with your wife, then you give her a warning. You say, look, I'm not happy with you right now. You're annoying me. Right. Then you refuse sex with her. Then, if she continues, you get a miswak. Now, if you know what a miswak is, it is a tiny stick, maybe the length of your hand. Yes, and you have to beat her lightly, and it's not even a beating, and this is more symbolic rather than beating the crap out your wife, because Islam doesn't tell us to beat up our wives or hurt our wives, or you're not allowed to leave any bruises on her, you're not allowed to break any bones, you're not allowed to leave any scars on her. And sometimes in relationships things might get very heated, the woman might be acting stubborn, the man might be acting stubborn. You understand what I'm saying to you? So God kind of understands the human nature.
What I'm trying to explain to you is that if you actually take the Quran and its totality, even the totality of the religion of Islam, whether you're either Shiite, Sunni, whatever, it systematically degrades the woman and puts the woman beneath the man, giving the man authority over the woman. And we all know this. This is blatantly obvious. And you can go ahead and try to mental gymnastic your way out of this. But the fact is that it systematically tells the man to be the authority over a woman. And the culture of those people as well at the same time is a deeply misogynistic culture. If you put these two things together, they have a culture that tells them they can do whatever they want with women. They have a religious text that gives them almost a universal or godly authority to do whatever they want with women. And so when you bring these two together, it is a very toxic combination.
Okay, can I say something?
We will be talking about the obvious. Islam hates and oppresses women. It does so in its fundamental scriptures, the Quran and the Hadith. It did so throughout its entire history, from Muhammad till the 21st century, and it is still doing so today.
I'm not saying reform Islam. Muslims need to reform.
Muslims need to practice Islam. That's what they need to do. That's what the solution is.
Hold on 1 second. I never knew it said that in the Quran. Is that true, Zubaydah, that it does say that?
Yeah. So I'm just trying to find the verse right now for you guys. But I just want as I'm talking, I'm going to find the verse. But I just wanted to say to you, there are certain things in the Quran which are permissible, but you don't have to do them. I.e., God says that you can marry your cousin, but you don't have to marry your cousin. And most Muslims don't marry their cousins. Allah also gives permission for you to marry
90% Pakistan has cousin marriages. Like in Pakistan.
Yeah, well, but in countries like Algeria and Morocco, and so they don't do that. But it's permissible, okay? It's also permissible for you to marry up to 4 wives. But most Muslim men don't marry 4 wives. So it's also permissible because there's certain things that are haram and halal. So it's not haram if you don't beat your wife, but it's not haram if you do. And when I mean beat, don't get it twisted, and I'm saying you can beat the crap out your wife. You understand? You beat her with a miswak.
When you think about stereotypes that Americans have of Muslim women today in this country, what are they?
Subjugated, backwards,
voiceless, meek, victimized,
always covered, like from head to toe.
We're not intelligent,
forced into marriage, oppressed,
super oppressed.
So why allow hitting women at all? If men are prone to violence, shouldn't the Quran be tempering their attitudes by saying you should not hit women instead of allowing it in some cases? We should expect more from Allah. If this was from the creator of the universe, He shouldn't be allowing men to hit women. Violence is not acceptable or justified.
I'm making this video for possible survivors of domestic violence or future victims of domestic violence in an attempt to prevent it before it happens. So as a woman, if you're considering converting to Islam, do not do it. Simple as that. Pick any other religion, I don't care, but not this one.